This is an example of the Easy Decorator Furniture and Room Planner. It consists of hundreds of drawings done in plan view, bird's eye view, on reusable little stickies. They all have the dimensions on them, and you can literally use it right on top of your floor plan, or comes with a handy washable pen that you can use to draw your floor plan directly onto the grid. Once you get your floor plan the way you like it, you can photocopy it. And then you have all the dimensions on it. Great for client presentations. And everything is reusable. Then moving on to the Easy Decorator design system, this tool consists of thousands of hand-drawn images done in elevation and perspective. So you can set up your elevation and then in the foreground put in your drawings that are in a perspective view. This is done in half-inch scale as opposed to the floor plan, which is quarter-inch scale. That's industry standard for elevation drawings. Everything is, again, reusable. It's also reversible. You can move it around the room. And once you get the design that you like, you then photocopy it, which would be black and white, and then to kick it up a notch or two or three, you can color it. And this was the final room. It was actually photographed in one of the shelter magazines. This was the presentation drawing, starting with the Easy Decorator design system. Another really cool thing about this is that you can insert your paint colors or stain colors right behind the overlay if you want. If you want to get really interesting, you can have a wood ceiling or a wood beam and show it like that. You can present it like this to a client, right as the layout is like this, or photocopy and color it and present that to the client. Watercolors are my favorite. They're quick, easy, and cheap. They come in these little kits. You can buy them with different amounts of colors. You can blend them. They can be shared. They can be used over and over. And you can get the most amazing, professional, high-quality results with just these little kits. And then you buy yourself a set of inexpensive brushes and you can go to town. And as an example with what you can accomplish with just these little inexpensive watercolors, you can take a presentation done with Easy Decorator and you can photocopy it. You want to use, obviously, watercolor paper, but first you photocopy it onto regular paper so that you can adjust the light and darkness of the image. You want to get light lines, faint lines, which are the best for watercoloring. And then once you get it the way you like it, take your final copy onto watercolor paper. And then you're ready to do your watercoloring. This would be the final result. Here's another example of a watercolor done very quickly and easily with sort of a stream of consciousness experimentation going on there. If your printer will accept thick watercolor paper, then that is the best way to go. But if your printer will not accept these thick types of paper, then you can buy watercolor paper in tablets. You can also use vellum for watercoloring, and these do come in tablets, very printer friendly, very thin. And if you photocopy your image onto vellum and watercolor it, you'll get a beautiful result. Another medium that I really like to use is colored pencils. Again, you can buy inexpensive kits. They can be blended and they can be used in addition to watercolor. They can be used together. Here's an example of a layout, floor plan that was done using colored pencils. Here you can see just black and white, it's sort of blah, but when you use the pencils, it really kicks it up a notch. So basically, there are two types of client presentation that the designer would do professionally. The first one is the one I prefer. It's the touchy-feely method, as I mentioned before, showing everything in a sort of unconstructed way, laying it out, starting with your 1/4-inch scale floor plan, moving, of course, onto the main attraction, which is the beautiful hand-colored rendering of the room, and then all of the supporting elements, such as your fabrics, your trimming, your photographs, and so forth, like the presentation that I showed you before. Then the second way that a lot of designers prefer is more constructed, and that's with a mood board. Something like this takes a lot of time and effort, but it is very organized. The most important thing about a mood board is that it must have a central image. You have all of the elements that are in the room, the fabrics and the wall coverings and the tones of the furniture. But if you do not have a central image to pull it all together, it's just a hodgepodge. This is very important. Again, I always like to start with a floor plan. And incidentally, this particular colored rendering was done by photocopying onto vellum. This is actually vellum paper and then watercolored. So you have an example of how beautiful this whole construction can be if you don't have watercolor paper and you need to use the vellum.